Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Grebner Show. This is Scott Kerker, along with Metamore head coach Jared Grebner. Coach, it doesn't seem like it was that long ago. You were playing week 0. Chatham Glenwood came to town. Man, that was a lot of fun. That was a different type of emphasis night for Metamore and for them too. And it was a lot of fun. And it just seems like in a blink of an eye, you played 11 games.
It goes by faster and faster every single year. It was a new experience having those guys come up for Redbird Community Kickoff Night. We get to go back down there next year, which would be even more different. We've never really been on the road for emphasis night, so to speak. That will just kind of get moved around somehow, and but there's always change that you're dealing with. Sometimes for the better. This helps prepare our kids for the regular season, and from that week 0 game, all of a sudden you blink and it's the second round of the playoffs, and you're going against Morgan Park with a home game.
Yes, and get into this Morgan Park game a little bit more here, Coach. They came to town, and you knew they were going to come to town with some athletes. They had some guys, already with Division I offers. Some of them had already accepted. They had a couple more that what I think Rinkin had 13 Division I offers,
and probably going up. His stock's rising, that's for sure.
And and they had other players too. They had the star players, and then their secondary players I thought were pretty solid also. And the speed, they'd only given up, I think, 42 points on the season. Yeah. And, you went into it, I thought, with a really good game plan and the attitude. You were in there to win, and you were playing at home, and you were defending, our turf. And, your kids, I thought, came out and played awfully well.
Yeah, we were right with them there for a while. Unfortunately, we couldn't get some stops when we needed to, but we put up some points there in the first half, more than any other team has so far this year. But they're good on both sides of the ball. And, that's what you run into in the playoffs. In order to advance, you're gonna have to be good in all phases of the game, and we couldn't quite get the stops when we needed to defensively. Part of that, credit to them, because if you're off by half a gap, just off by the wrong shoulder or whatever it might be, they'll make you pay. They'll gas you in the run. They can make plays in the passing game. I think everybody saw that. Even when you're covering them, pretty well. That quarterback, he was able to fit the ball in some very tight windows on some back shoulder throws, with guys draped all over them. They had players that made plays. And we just didn't quite make them. Offensively, we were able to get some things going. And then, in the second half, though, they kind of buckled down a little bit, and they got some stops and were able to capitalize.
I going into the game, I thought we were going to have to put together some, 7, 8 minute, 9 minute drives to score, and they were going to have to play awfully well. That's tough to do at the high school level. That's tough to do at any level. But, I thought that's what we would have to do. I didn't think there was any way, shape, or form we were going to be able to pop one and go 60 yards or 55 yards, and I think we did one of each.
Yeah.
And, that was a credit to your offensive line.
In fact, I think all but maybe our last scoring drive were pretty quick hitters. The first 3 to Jadon, it was the first 3 touchdowns. It went from a long ways out, and nobody was catching them. Even the screen pass down our sideline, and so we thought we were going to have to grind it out some. Some teams were able to grinded out on them this year. You know, Tinley Park had about a 10-minute drive against them that ate up some clock. We weren't able to put together drives like that, but we were able to get some explosive plays, which they haven't given up this year. And, you know, that was few and far between. And so, you know, credit to our kids for making some of those seams for our running backs and, you know, getting a couple timely first downs. You know, we were able to win the time of possession fairly easily, but unfortunately, you know, we weren't able to get the stops, you know, because they were able to just score that quickly.
Yeah, I thought that the two big run plays by Jadon were fantastic. The screen pass on 4th and about 2 to Jadon out in the flats, right in front of your bench, was, what was that, about a 55-yard touchdown?
Yeah, and you know what, we had a very similar to play like that. Who was it against? Morton, off the top of my head.
Maybe.
When we were trying to kill the clock, and we ran the exact same play, just the opposite way. Mm-hmm. And I thought we had kind of some room on that one, and we just it just happened to slip through our fingers on that one. This one on the 4th down play to keep it going, you know, we kind of learned, and we were able to capitalize, and so.
Some really nice
credit.
blocking.
Yeah, there was some real nice blocking by the guys up front. They got out there, and you know, sometimes when you're out in space, when you have some talented running backs like we do, you don't need any huge blocks. You almost need to get in the way, and you know, get their big bodies out in front of them, and they were able to do just that. And then we were off to the races.
Yeah, that was. I thought a very. It was nice to see, you know, the kids probably at some point in that 3rd quarter probably realized, you know, this is, you know, Morgan Park just had too many weapons. Mm-hmm. But what impressed me was they never stopped playing hard, and they kept playing. You know, everybody on the team, you didn't see anybody, you know, get down. They were down at the end of the game, but during the game they were never down.
No. And that's one thing that, you know, you don't see Metamora players do, is, you know, give up regardless of the situation. Was it always, you know, looking positive for us? You know, not towards the end of the game, not with time on the clock, and that's how you always approach it. You know, we have to continue to play until that final horn, until that final whistle goes off. We continue to coach that way, you know, trying to find answers, trying to put our kids in the best situation possible. But we talked about, you know, every play, every snap is special, because it's a game that you really, you know, after high school, very few of them are ever going to play again. They're not going to put helmets on. They're not going to put shoulder pads on. You know, it's one of the few games, you know, like basketball, you might be able to play a pickup game, you know, or intramurals, or, you know, even in college or after college or whatever it might be in some men's league, slow pitch softball, you might be able to pick up baseball, you know, tennis, golf, you know, there's a lot of sports that you're able to continue to do. Football's not one of them.
No.
And so they know that every second on that field is special. You're not going to get those snaps back, and so they make sure that they, you know, live in the moment, and they make every one of those count.
Yeah, I thought that there was a lot of things. It's easy to be proud of kids when they win, mm-hmm. but you see the real character of them when they lose, and they showed a lot of character.
Yeah, you know, it's a group of guys, not just seniors, but it's a group of guys that care. They care about Metamora football. They care about one another. You know, it's a group that they have always put team success and team goals above their individual goals. And so when you have a group like that plays for each other, you know you're always going to be fighting to the end, and more times than not, you're going to have a good outcome.
Yeah. Two things too that I kind of want to touch on a little bit is you got to coach your son, mm-hmm. and Saturday was the last time you got to coach him. Avery had a great year this year. He stepped in, played a little quarterback, returned punts, returned kicks, played some great defense. What do you have? I think 4 interceptions this year. Kind of a stopper out there in an island by himself as a corner. Played both sides of the ball. Had a great year. Had to be pretty rewarding for you.
Yeah, it's always nice to be able to share those moments with your son. Some moments, probably from his perspective, might be better than others. But he was fortunate, and I was fortunate enough to coach him at the varsity level from his sophomore year on. Being a 3-year starter. But same way with like Cam Nickel. He was a 3-year starter for us. And same, Kevin Barker. There was a guy that got a lot of playing time as a junior, and you got to see him grow. Shea Seals, Brad Shawkin. I could go on and on about all of the seniors, all 21 of them. But I'll end up leaving somebody out, and I don't want to do that. But just this group of seniors as a whole, we've talked about, because of Avery, and it's just a little bit different group because I got to watch these guys grow up. It is just a little bit different. I got to watch these guys in T-ball. I did before I actually knew who they were, but you recognize them. You get to watch them play grade school basketball. You get to watch them run track. You get to watch them walk through 8th grade graduation, and so you get to see all these milestones for all of these guys, and you get to watch them grow up from toddlers and to being young men and leaders for us within the community and the school.
Got one question before we get to the other question I had for you, but I got one other question for you. And Jim Matson brought it up, and I know a lot of people want to know this. Could Avery really tackle you at your best?
No idea. I'll just say I know he can now. Those days are few and far between for me nowadays. But it'll just be a question that we'll have to go unanswered. He can believe what he wants, and I'll let.
He was pretty confident.
I'll let him have his time in the sun.
He said 100%.
Yeah. So.
And then the other one I wanted to talk about too is, and we've talked about it a little bit before we went on TV and just in conversations, but you lose 21 seniors, but you also lose a big part of your coaching staff. And Jim Cassip is retiring, and that's a tough one too, because you've had these, other than your son, you've had those other guys for 3-4 years, but you've been with Jim Cassip a long time.
Yeah, Jim wasn't there when I played, but he was there when I returned and came back from college. He was in Iowa at Manual before he came over to Metamora. He's had all 3 boys go through the program between Austin, Hunter, and Tyler. Those guys have done a lot for the program. That family. Jim's wife Julie, she's been around the program a long time and has done a lot for the program as well. Being a coach's wife isn't easy, so hats off to her. Those guys probably went through a lot of big grocery bills feeding those 3 sons because
they were big.
They were big. They were good players for us. But no, Jim's going to be missed. It's going to be big shoes to fill. He was a guy that did anything you asked him to. He was very loyal to Metamora football in the program. Very smart football mind. He was great with the kids. A great teacher of the game. A great teacher with life lessons. He's a great teacher up at high school. Just within the classroom. And so to lose a guy like that, it'll be tough to replace. But he'll definitely be missed.
Yeah. And, like you, he got to watch his 3 sons go through the program. Got to watch his one son. Was that Tyler, the last one?
Yes.
Have possibly the greatest game a Metamora lineman has ever had against Jacksonville.
I mean, it seemed like that Jacksonville game it seemed like on defense he just kind of took that game over with some interceptions, pick 6.
Three touchdowns.
Yeah, and it was a great game.
Yeah.
It was a great moment for those guys and for their family.
It was when we were talking about this. It was between him and Rich Riley back in when Jeff Herring was a senior. Was that 2002?
Yeah, that was my first year back.
First year. It was the first game of the year against Geneseo, double overtime, I believe.
Yes.
One of the greatest. He went up against a lineman from Geneseo. I think his name was Matt Biondi. It was a Donnybrook, and Rich Riley got the best of him in that game, and he had, I don't know how many tackles. He had, on offense, he paved the way for our only touchdown in regulation. And he ended up winning Player of the Year, and I'm sure that game had a lot to do with it.
Yeah, he kind of set the tone for us right off the bat.
Yeah, that was a big game. But Jim Cassup, he's kind of been the mainstay. He's kind of the grandfather of the coaches up at the high school.
Mm-hmm. He's been a class act through and through.
Yes, and you're right. He will be missed, and it's sad because you lose 21 seniors and a coach.
Yeah,
all in one afternoon.
They're all tough to replace, and and we're going to miss them all.
Why don't we take a break, and when we come back, we'll talk about the player of the game and what your off season is going to be a little bit like.
Okay.
Central Illinois, you asked for it and we listened. Germantown Grill is growing to meet customer demand, adding more dining space and a private gaming area featuring games powered by Gold Rush, the gold standard in video gaming. And Germantown Grill still has all the food and spirits that keep our customers coming back. Stop by to check out our daily specials. The game's on at Germantown Grill, where Central Illinois loves to eat. Open 7 days a week, just off Route 116.
Welcome back to Jared Grebner Show. Again, I want to thank Jake and Sarah Atkins for letting us do this here at the Germantown Grill. It's always good to be here, and it's always love coming down here after games.
Yeah, it's always a great place to be. You'll see a lot of players down here after the game, a lot of fans. So we appreciate them letting us do this week in and week out. It's always been fun.
Yep. Coach, kind of talked about it a little bit. We kind of thought about Jadon Cranford as our player of the game. Had just a phenomenal game, and everybody, the whole team played hard. Jadon really, though, kind of reaped the benefits of it.
Mm-hmm.
And it was he kept us in the ball game the first half. He and Evan Kyle kind of traded off. One game somebody would have a good game, the other one would have a good game the next one, and that was a great combination he had there. Saturday just happened to be Jadon's day.
Yeah, he was able to find some creases early. On first on two of his touchdown runs. He wasn't didn't have many hands on him on some of those touchdown runs. Those linemen did a great job opening up some holes for him, and when he got through there virtually unscathed on some of them, he made his typical Jadon cuts, but then he was off to the races, and there wasn't any catching him on some of those. Same thing with the screen pass that we already talked about. Great play call, great execution by all the players, and he was able to go down our home sideline, with ease and sneak into the end zone. And he got some tough yards. I know he battled some injuries this year as well, and he was able to fight through those. And it's always tough to be one of the go-to running backs, and also be a full-time and then be a full-time defensive player, and shut down some of the receivers that Morgan Park had, and people that they had all year long. He was covering, and because you're covering a lot of ground sometimes as a DB, whether they pass it to your guy or not, or whether you're filling from the run, you might be coming in from 13 yards away or covering a fade all of a sudden, 40 yards down the field, and then next possession on offense, we're asking you to tote the rock and have a turn. Him and Evan Kyle they complemented one another very well. I think sometimes having those two back there and sometimes sharing carries helped us because it helped keep legs fresh. They were both good and both a little bit different in their styles within their own rights. But Jadon had a couple explosive plays on Saturday and was able to get us in the end zone a couple times there in that first half.
Yeah, and Evan Kyle got our final touchdown of the season, and it was nice to see.
Correct. He ran hard and was able to turn out some tough yards there on that last series, and able to get us on the scoreboard there in the second half.
So Jadon Cranford is the final player of the year or player of the game for Metamora this year. Now you go into the off season, and that's where Metamora has always been kind of that's where our success kind of comes from. Is we have very good off seasons. What will Metamora's off season look like this year?
We always give them this first week off, of course. There's always players already, chomping at the bit. They'll kind of go up and get started on their own. Some players will move into their other winter sports and stuff like that, and which we love multi-sport athletes. There's a lot of things that can be said and can be taught from other sports, whether it's footwork, whether it's leverage, whatever it might be. You can always gain something. The guys that will still be with us will also be lifting up there, with the baseball players and stuff like that. Some of our football guys are baseball players, and so we'll be in the weight room together, and all of us coaches work in conjunction with one another. But Coach Miller is going to be helping us out. Adam Miller is still going to be helping us. To get better every day. We'll be doing our lifting on Monday, Wednesday, Friday. That's the time that we'll be up in the weight room, and then Tuesdays and Thursdays. It kind of varies from week to week, but we'll work on things like explosiveness. We'll get some speed work in as far as form, just trying to improve that, to improve our speed.
Is that with Adam Miller, or is that with you guys?
It'll be both. It'll be with his help. He won't be able to be around every single day or anything like that. With work, sometimes we'll use him as a resource. Sometimes we'll use Coach Ray from the track team as a resource, and so his guys will be up there lifting as well. There's a lot of football guys that run track. That kind of goes hand in hand, and so we all help each other out. But on those Tuesdays and Thursdays, you'll do some plyometrics, flexibility work, knee stability, and so there's a lot of stuff that goes into it to try and make a well-rounded athlete. And so we'll continue strength training. We'll continue trying to train the body, for injury prevention or whatever it might be in order to get us faster, more explosive. Our trainer, Jessica Brooks, who did a phenomenal job for us this year. We loved having her around, and man, what a great addition to the school. But anyways, she can help out, is willing to help out for lifts or band work or whatever it might be for to help with prevent shoulder injuries and things like that. And so the kids are all in. They know that we have a lot of resources. We have a lot of people within the school. We have a lot of people outside of the school that are willing to help in any way possible to see Metamora's football be as successful as possible.
Has there been anybody that had a busier fall than your trainer?
I don't think so. And funny thing is, she happened to be ill a couple days last week, and man, when she came back, I don't know if there's happier people to see her than the players. All of a sudden, I was like, man, there's a line out the door waiting to see her. I didn't know if they missed her already after 2 days or what was going on, but I know they don't run to see me like that after not seeing me for 2 days. But no, she's been phenomenal, just with helping players rehab. She does a great job with prehab, just getting some work and helping players get ready for the next week. To replenish their legs and make sure that they're healing quicker and getting the soreness out of their body quicker and just rejuvenating them with parent communication. I don't really know a whole lot as far as medical terminology and the exact diagnosis, and having her there and not having to speculate or anything like that, where you can have immediate answers and get immediate feedback, is crucial for our success and just for the treatment of our players. And she's definitely a luxury to have.
Yeah, she's been awfully good to have around. It's been a long time coming.
Yeah, and so we're lucky. We're fortunate.
Yeah. And then, Coach, I want to thank you for coming here every Tuesday night. And it's been late. We start at 7:30. Sometimes that's gone into 8:15. We've had to wait for.
Depends if there's birthday parties or not. But like you talked about, a lot of people like to come here. And
right.
So that's a good thing.
Yep. And but I want to thank you. After every game, win, lose, or draw, you're always there to do an interview. You made sure that the right people got to be interviewed. Jeff Herring after his birthday. You got Jim Cassip earlier in the season. Because it's his final year. I would believe that was when we played.
And there's Versailles Hal Peru too. It's kind of fitting.
It was very fitting, and that was always nice. But thank you. It's always a lot of fun. I look forward to next year. I look really forward to next year. I think it's going to be a really good year.
It'll be lots of fun, but thank you guys. I know you guys put in a lot of hours, put in a lot of time, but it doesn't go unnoticed. There's a lot of people around the state, around the community, wherever they might be, that are able to watch Metamora football because of the work you and all of your staff put in. So thank you to digiMAX and MTCO for allowing you guys to do this year in and year out, because there's a lot of people I know that watch these games. I forget what you even told me the Washington game was this year for people watching, and sometimes they might be watching with others as well,
right.
And not just home alone by themselves.
Sure.
But it helps people that can't get out for one reason or another. It helps maybe people watch the game and support Metamora in their own fashion. Maybe because of weather or whatever it might be, or maybe they're out of town.
But they're just not able to get to the games, And they always call and want to know if their games are going to be televised.
And what? I know our kids appreciate it. On the bus ride back home from Centralia, you walk back on the bus, and all of a sudden, you look over on their phones, and what are they all watching? On their phones, they all got the digiMAX link up, and they're all watching the game and commenting on it and talking to one another about certain plays or rewinding, and so it's always a luxury to have, and so thank you guys for everything.
No problem, Coach. Again, thank you. I want to thank Tom Hagan, who does our producing here tonight and during the season at the games. I want to thank MTCO for everything that they do, and you know what? We'll be back again next year doing this, and we'll be back next year talking about big wins.
Yep, and looking forward to it.
Thank you again, and
thank you.
We'll see you during the basketball season.